And welcome back. This is one you will likely be talking about after you see the video. Shocking. Out of New Mexico, a drone captures two young boys in an armed standoff with the sheriff's department. The 7- and 9-year-olds can be seen hiding with a gun in their hands. Of course, you can't see, but law enforcement all around them. Lots of cops, lots of deputies. Investigators say one of the kids tried pulling the trigger, but the gun jammed. Eventually, the boys surrendered without any shots being fired.
We're not playing a game right now. This is serious. I really don't want to report a kid right now.
We don't want to help for you, and we want to help you, okay?
Aim it and fire. 48.
Put it down, baby.
40 going out. 40, 40, 40.
Drop it! Drop it! Drop it, Sean! Load another one. Load another one. Drop it now, or you're gonna get hit. Drop it.
You dropped the gun! Taser, taser, taser!
So what you saw there and what you heard were the deputies firing a non-lethal weapon to scare the kids into dropping the gun, and they still wouldn't drop it. They had to actually go over there, take a chance, and take it out of their hands. No one was arrested and no word on how the boys got the gun. Police say they have been called to this house, get this, at least 50 times due to issues with the boys and their family. 50 times. Our next guest shares their thoughts on this. And joining us on the Factor Uncensored to talk about this very disturbing situation out of New Mexico, we have George Abrego, the owner of HTX Tactical here in the city of Houston and a gun expert. George, it was not only scary, but just unnerving to see those children with that gun, a loaded gun, and the officers, law enforcement officers, pleading to them to put that gun down, and they just didn't get it. Obviously, the kids, but I mean, what were your thoughts looking at that video?
It was definitely scary, shocking to see. These kids. I think they were 7 and 8 years old, if I'm not mistaken. They know it's a firearm. They obviously know that. They know it's dangerous. That it can be dangerous. I don't think they fully comprehend the consequences of what could happen if they were to use that firearm on somebody. So I don't think they fully understand what the firearm is capable of. You got to remember, the firearm is merely plastic and metal. That's all it is. But the hands that are on it, what's capable there? But I do believe that it falls back down to parenting. Where are the parents at?
Mhm.
This far
And George, I think it's been reported that they have received more than 50 calls from that house. For what reason, I'm not quite sure, but police are quite familiar with that family. But 50 calls, and when you see kids with a gun in their hands like that, it's more than just putting the gun away. Say you would also have to educate your child first just how deadly, just how dangerous that gun can be, instead of just saying, don't touch it, I'm locking it up, right?
right. There's obviously something going on in that home. These children aren't, I wouldn't say, are in a, they may not be in a loving home, whatever you want to call it. But as far as like, having children in the home with firearms, children, they're curious. Their curiosity can get the best of them. You got to teach them at a young age. You got to let them know, hey, this is not a toy. You may play video games and you may play with I don't know, Nerf guns or whatever it may be, but these are not toys. Here's what they're capable of. And who knows? Maybe that gun came from a friend's house or something. You never know. And
Very possible.
And a lot of times I hear parents say, "Oh, well, my child will never be caught with a gun." But you send them over to their friend's house for the weekend, you don't know what's going on over there. And you want your child to be the one that says, "Hey, no, put that thing up. It's dangerous."
And George, let's get back to that education aspect. Obviously, you guys do education and continuing education for those who already know how to operate a gun. But what do you think a good age is? Number one, if a parent owns a weapon and there's a gun in the house, whether you secure it or not, but if there's a gun in the house, what's a good age to teach your children the dangers about that gun? What's a good starting age?
I was shooting at, I think, 6 or 7 years old. I started off shooting a 22 rifle, and it was fun. I enjoyed it, right? I mean, what kid wouldn't enjoy that?
Mhm.
I remember being 6, 7 years old, shooting 22s, and then I went up to shotguns, and it was fun. We enjoyed it, but again, it was explained well to me. It was completely put in my head that, hey, this is not a toy. You don't touch it just to have fun and just to show off and just just to show your buddies when they come over or whatever it may be. At the end of the day, that will definitely fall on the parents, but definitely at least around the maybe 10-year-old, 8 to 10 year old range for sure. I mean, you can see these kids, I think, were 7 and 8 years old in that video, and they have to know exactly what's going on. Like, I don't think they knew the consequences of what may happen, but they knew it was a gun. They knew it was dangerous, the way they were handling it and whatnot. And then I think they shot some type of projectile at them or at the ground in front of them. I was surprised they did that. I would imagine that those kids would might shoot back.
That's a strong possibility.
I was completely surprised that officers did that, but I guess they were behind. I don't know. They were maybe on a rooftop somewhere where they couldn't be seen. I don't know what the whole situation.
Well, it was my understanding that they were trying to scare the kids into dropping the gun, but that simply didn't work. But obviously, just a strange and scary situation to see unfold before us in the news in New Mexico. I'm sure. I don't know if there have been any criminal charges against the parents, but of course we'll continue to follow this. But obviously, your advice: educate your kid and lock up those damn weapons.
Right. I see a lot of customers come in and they say, "Oh, I'm going to teach my kid the gun safety." Now, I've always had guns, but it's time to teach my kids. I ask, "Well, how old is your kid?" "Oh, he's 15." Like, this kid is bigger than me. He's bigger than you. Should have done this years ago.
Yeah, you missed the boat on that one, but it's never too late. Never too late.
But yeah, no, definitely start them off young and just let them know that, hey, it's not a toy. It's capable of killing.
Absolutely. You've got to be careful with those kids and those guns there. Get the education that they need, as well as lock up those weapons, because you'll be left with a situation like what we saw there in New Mexico.